happened here? It's just amazing how many people on the Diddy party list that are supporting Kamala, too.
Yeah, seriously, it's like insane.
Publicly, openly.
Joe Rogan just uncovered something chilling about Sean Diddy Combs' case, and it's shaking up the entertainment world. What started as talk about Diddy's legal troubles has now opened a door into a network of influence that seems to reach the highest levels of power. Rogan might have stumbled into something far bigger than he expected, and saying it out loud on his show could have been a risky move. As investigators dig deeper into Diddy's world, new questions are rising about who's really pulling the strings. According to what was discussed on Rogan's podcast, this isn't just about one man's downfall. It's about a whole system that protects certain powerful figures no matter what. Some names never seem to face scrutiny, and that's exactly what Rogan hinted might be the problem. While Diddy sits behind bars awaiting trial, most people assume the story stops with him. But it doesn't. What Rogan and his guest discussed suggests this web extends far beyond the headlines and into corners of the entertainment and political elite that most people never even think about. The connections run deep, deeper than most realize. And if Rogan's right, it could mean that Diddy's case is just one piece of a massive, hidden structure of control. This revelation sent shockwaves online. Rogan might have stepped on some powerful toes by publicly talking about what many only whisper behind closed doors. And if what he suggested is true, it means some of the biggest names in Hollywood, politics, and business could all be tangled in the same web of influence that's now unraveling right before our eyes.
Well, Diddy's going to be in jail for the rest of his life. I think he's probably going to get
Think he's
hit
in a
up.
saying, though?
I don't know. I don't even think it matters. I mean, a lot of it is...
But then it's just another Epstein.
there's
It's another
murder
Ghislaine Maxwell, where
there's
somebody gets
murder
indicted and
cases.
nobody else. Indicted for trafficking kids to...
Right, to no one. Right. What is the next crazy thing that's going to explode in the news? Is Bill Clinton's going to have an OnlyFans? Like, what is going to happen? What is the next thing that's going to make us all go, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck is going on?
It's coming.
Like,
You know it's
how many guys were on video saying, ain't no party like a Diddy party? How many people like openly talked about being there?
LeBron?
Yeah, how Ashton Kutcher, all these people. Like, you guys all went, you didn't see nothing?
Before diving into who's truly running the show behind all of this, we've got to break down what Sean Diddy Combs is actually being accused of. Because without that context, the rest of the story won't even make sense. Right now, Diddy is sitting in jail after being hit with major federal charges that shocked the entire industry. Prosecutors claim he used his fame, power, and influence to manipulate and exploit people who trusted him. What's even darker are the alleged private events that insiders described. Exclusive gatherings where celebrities were supposedly drugged and secretly recorded without their knowledge. That's terrifying to even imagine. Think about it. You show up at what looks like a glamorous party, and behind the scenes, someone's using that night to gain control over you later on. Over 120 individuals have reportedly come forward with accusations, painting a disturbing picture of what might have been going on behind closed doors. While some early reports mentioned underage victims, official investigations continue to sort through what's true and what's exaggerated since no full verdict has been reached yet. The controversy grew even louder after 50 Cent's Netflix documentary The Reckoning dropped, pulling no punches and shining a harsh light on the situation. But here's what most people still don't realize. Diddy might not have been the one running the show at the very top. According to what Joe Rogan discussed on one of his podcasts, there could be even bigger names pulling strings from the shadows, and connecting those dots might just expose something way larger than anyone expected. When Joe Rogan brought up Jeffrey Epstein during that conversation, everything suddenly got tense, and the similarities between Epstein's operation and what's being alleged about Diddy became hard to ignore. The vibe shifted instantly. One of Rogan's guests asked, "Is Diddy gonna sing?" Basically wondering if he'd start exposing everyone else who might have been involved. That's when Rogan's whole mindset seemed to snap into focus. He pointed out a chilling pattern that left everyone uncomfortable. Just like in the Epstein case, someone gets charged for trafficking, but somehow, no one else connected to them ever faces justice. Think about it. Epstein was found guilty of trafficking people, but according to official court records, there were no named recipients. The same story with Ghislaine Maxwell, convicted for trafficking, but to who exactly? That gap in accountability makes no sense at all. It's almost like there's a rule book for how power protects itself. Rogan explained that the same type of silence seems to be happening again. A big name gets caught, but everyone in their circle walks away untouched. It's like watching the same movie on repeat, and no one in power wants to admit it's happening. Then Rogan began naming names, mentioning LeBron James, Ashton Kutcher, and other huge celebrities who back in the day openly talked about attending Diddy's legendary parties. He questioned why no one from those circles ever speaks up now. Rogan asked the real question that everyone else is too afraid to say out loud. You all went. You didn't see anything? That silence from so many big figures has fans wondering whether they genuinely didn't know what was happening. or if they're staying quiet for a reason. Either way, that question changed the tone of the entire conversation. Because at this point, there's no pretending this is just another celebrity scandal. Now let's get into the real power player, the man some insiders quietly call the Emperor. If Sean Diddy Combs was the king of his own empire, then Sir Lucian Charles Grange, the CEO of Universal Music Group, might be the one sitting above it all, pulling strings from behind the curtain. His influence in the music industry is beyond massive. We're talking about a level of power most people can't even wrap their heads around. Things took a shocking turn when Grange's name surfaced in connection with the Lil Rod lawsuit. That case hinted at something much deeper, a theory that major record labels, especially giants like Universal, don't just create stars. They build entire systems that allow industry moguls to move unchecked. Some insiders even described these corporate structures as protection networks, designed to shield the powerful when scandals start brewing. And when certain legal documents leaked, the details were jaw-dropping. The information didn't just raise questions, it painted a picture of how deep this web might really go, showing that the money, control, and silence all flow in one direction, straight to the top.
I never thought these words would come out my mouth, but Candace Owens is onto something, and that did not feel comfortable at all. So Candace says the reason mainstream news is not picking up this lawsuit, is not paying attention to Diddy at all, is because of this man right here, Lucian Grange. He is one of the most powerful men in Hollywood and music. And he been up in Diddy's room. So this man right here is Sir Lucian Charles Grange. He's been the CEO of Universal Music Group since 2010, so you know he done seen some shit. So I had to go to the damn documents. I had to see if this man was actually named, and he is. As you can see, it says Lucian Charles Grange, and it also says Universal Music Group. On top of that, it says Ethiopia. I cannot fuck up her last name. I refuse to. But she was also a big person in Universal Music Group. And then Christina Coramham, Lord forgive. But she was like Diddy's second hand.
According to the lawsuit, Sir Lucian Charles Grange wasn't just aware of Diddy's notorious parties. It claims he actually sponsored some of them and even showed up at multiple gatherings hosted at Diddy's Los Angeles mansion. The accusations are heavy. Documents allege that these events included explicit entertainers and, disturbingly, reports of underage attendees. That's a serious claim that's shaken both the music and entertainment industries. The lawsuit further suggests that Grange either knew or absolutely should have known what was happening behind those walls. It even goes as far as alleging that guests were being unknowingly drugged through drinks spiked with Diddy's own liquor brands, De Leon Tequila and Ciroc Vodka. That detail left people stunned. The idea that something so public could have such dark allegations behind it sounds straight out of a crime documentary. Commentator Candace Owens even spoke out about the situation, calling attention to how major news outlets were almost silent on the topic. She argued that the reason could be Grange's immense influence over the entertainment world. As CEO of Universal Music Group, his reach extends into both music and media, giving him enormous control over what stories get attention and which ones quietly disappear. The lawsuit doesn't stop there either. It also names Ethiopia Habtemariam and Christina Coram, both executives tied to Universal Music Group, pulling even more big industry names into this growing storm. According to the court documents, everyone named in that lawsuit allegedly knew what was going on. They witnessed it, they were present, and yet not a single person stepped in to stop it. Why? Because in the world of major record labels, power and profit often go hand in hand. These CEOs control the money, and with it, the narrative. They decide which scandals get buried and which ones get spun, all to protect billion-dollar brands that keep the industry running. It's cold, calculated, and absolutely disturbing. This could also explain why major outlets like CNN and Fox News have stayed quiet about it. When the people involved have the power to shape headlines, it's no surprise that some stories just never see the light of day. The control runs deeper than most realize. It's not just about music. It's about influence, image, and protecting the empire at any cost. And when it comes to Diddy's inner circle, one name keeps surfacing: Jay-Z. Their bond wasn't just business. It was brotherhood in the industry. Diddy once mentioned that only 2 people in the world were allowed to call him by his real name: Sean, his mother, and Jay-Z. That small detail shows just how close they really were. And it makes people wonder what Jay-Z might have seen behind the scenes during those years of friendship and collaboration.
There's only one person.
Oh, go on.
And I call him Sean. That's Jay-Z. We call each other Sean.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody else could call me Sean.
He's
You
the
know,
only person
there's
who's
not a
Sean
single-
approved.
There's not a single person that
Outside
should be,
of family?
That should be outside of my mother.
Okay, just
They should be calling me. Yeah, they should be calling me Sean.
Jaguar Wright, if you're not familiar with her, she's known for speaking the truth without holding anything back. She sat down for an interview with Piers Morgan and dropped some serious bombshells about Jay-Z and Diddy. But here's where it gets wild. That entire episode practically vanished. It was scrubbed from the internet not long after it aired, making it nearly impossible to find anywhere. That kind of disappearance always raises eyebrows. Because if there's really nothing to hide, then why erase it so fast? During that explosive conversation, Wright brought up a question that's been circling the industry for years. How is it that Jay-Z can sit down for major interviews, like the one he did with Gayle King, and still never be asked about the most controversial rumors or his ties to certain powerful figures? She didn't bite her tongue either. Wright openly called both Diddy and Jay-Z monsters, claiming their influence has been suffocating the industry for decades. That statement alone sent shockwaves through social media. Then came another twist. People began to notice that Jay-Z's personal, high-profile attorney had suddenly stepped into Diddy's legal chaos. Fans and insiders started asking the obvious questions. Was it a coincidence, a connection, or something much bigger happening quietly behind the scenes? Because in this industry, things like that almost never happen by accident. Jay-Z, on his end, has never publicly addressed any of these claims or rumors. And in today's world, that kind of silence speaks volumes. Joe Rogan has even commented on this pattern before, saying that elite figures rarely deal with scandals personally. Instead, they rely on fixers, high-end lawyers, and public relations teams to make problems disappear before the public ever catches on. And when you connect all those dots, from the missing interview to the legal ties, the bigger picture starts to look a whole lot more complicated than anyone expected. Ever heard of Alan Grubman? Probably not. And that's exactly how he likes it. He's one of the most powerful attorneys in the entertainment world, quietly representing everyone from Diddy to Bruce Springsteen. This man isn't just a lawyer, he's a gatekeeper, the link that ties together some of the biggest names in music, media, and politics. Behind closed doors, he and others like him form what many insiders call the silent circle. The industry elite who operate out of sight, yet pull every major string. These are the people who draft the airtight ND as that keep victims quiet for decades. They don't just protect their clients, they protect an entire system. In this world, information is everything, and those who control it sit at the very top of the food chain. If they decide your story doesn't get told, then it simply doesn't, no matter how shocking or true it might be. Joe Rogan has often drawn comparisons to this kind of secrecy during his conversations with former CIA officer Mike Baker. They've talked about how Diddy's alleged freak-offs echo some of the same patterns seen in Jeffrey Epstein's operation. Not necessarily the same in detail, but eerily similar in structure. The theory isn't that Diddy masterminded this entire thing on his own. It's that he was a facilitator, someone positioned to entertain and record powerful figures while providing the setting for something much bigger. And that's the part that makes people's skin crawl. If Diddy really was recording these private gatherings, as federal documents claim, then the real question becomes, who was all that footage for? Who wanted those recordings and why? Some investigators believe the answer lies with those above him, the hidden John Does in the legal filings, politicians, CEOs, and elite figures who allegedly treated Diddy's world like their own private playground.
Between Diddy and Epstein, there's probably several thousand hours of footage here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I should say, I think you voted for
I'd
Biden.
like to see a matchup of those, call it the top 100 puppet masters in the Epstein client list.
Do you think there's some overlap?
Strong overlap. Strong overlap.
When are we going to see that list, do you think?
I don't know.
Will that ever come out, do you think?
You know, I think part of why Kamala is getting so much support is that if Trump wins, that Epstein client list is going to become public.
Yes.
And some of those billionaires behind Kamala are terrified of that outcome.
Yeah. Do you think Reid Hoffman's uncomfortable?
Yes. And Gates.
And Gates.
Yeah.
And I only ask that because you just look at them and you're like, that's a nervous person right there. I don't know. I mean, I assume you know that. Yeah.
Yes.
Reports claim there could be thousands of hours of footage, not just from Diddy's infamous parties, but possibly connected to Jeffrey Epstein's archive of tapes too. If that turns out to be true, it points to something massive, a blackmail web that may have stretched across decades and industries. This isn't just celebrity gossip anymore. It's the kind of setup designed to keep powerful people silent and obedient for years. During one of Joe Rogan's podcast episodes, even Elon Musk dropped a few hints about this. He suggested that part of the reason some political figures receive huge backing from billionaires might not be loyalty, it's fear. According to Musk, a lot of the elite are terrified that if the wrong people gain control, certain lists could start leaking, like the Epstein client list, or what's now being whispered about as the Diddy party list. The thought alone sent shockwaves through online communities. Names such as Reid Hoffman and Bill Gates were brought up as examples of high-profile individuals who might have serious reasons to worry if those alleged recordings or guest lists ever surfaced. And when Rogan asked Elon directly whether Hoffman seemed nervous about it all, Elon's response was chillingly short. Just one word, yes. That one answer said more than a full speech ever could, leaving everyone listening stunned.
It might have been the difference between Diddy parties and freak-offs. Oh my
They're giving him
God.
shit too because he's sitting in his.
Oh, the guy from Chappelle Show?
Yeah.
And then Dave's there too, and then Russell Simmons too. Oh boy. But is that at a party or is that just a group of them together?
They were like on a yacht or something like that.
Okay, but that's not the Diddy
No,
party.
yeah. It's not like they were at his
I
house.
think
You think Diddy was rogue or Diddy was like a Epstein type,
that's a good
working for
question.
somebody?
That's a good question. Well, it would be a
'Cause he had the
great way
juice
to,
on
to
a lot of people.
compromise celebrities. Yeah.
Yep.
And get them to say whatever you want them to do, get them to do whatever projects you'd like them to do. And, you know, if you're a bunch of other celebrities are there, you're like, oh, look, Bill Clinton's here. This is fine.
Yeah.
This is cool. Look at this. Like, Brad Pitt's here. Oh, this is cool. You don't even think there's anything wrong with being there.
This is what people are now calling the facilitator model. And it's one of the most disturbing patterns to come out of these investigations. Figures like Jeffrey Epstein and Sean Diddy Combs allegedly built safe zones for the elite, private environments where powerful people could let loose without public scrutiny. But here's the catch. Those gatherings weren't just parties. They were traps, hidden cameras, secret recordings, and total control. Everything designed to collect leverage on the most influential people in the world. Joe Rogan broke it down in a way that hit hard. He said, if this wasn't an intelligence agency operation, then it's one incredibly evil genius who figured out how to compromise everyone. Think about that. Guests were told to put their phones away, promised that nothing would ever leave those walls, yet behind the scenes, cameras were allegedly rolling the entire time. Every move, every word, captured forever. That's not luxury. That's manipulation at its highest level. Then Rogan asked the question that changes everything. Was Diddy working under someone else's direction? Or did he simply lose control of the empire he built? It's a chilling thought, because if he wasn't the mastermind, then who was? During that same conversation, Elon Musk even mentioned Jennifer Lopez, not in a political sense, but to question credibility. His point was sharp. If people close to Diddy, like J-Lo, who once dated him and attended countless events by his side, saw what was happening, why didn't anyone speak up? Where were the warnings, the red flags, the public concern? The uncomfortable answer Musk hinted at was simple. There were none. No one said a word. And that silence might be the most haunting part of this entire story, because it suggests that everyone around Diddy either looked the other way or was too scared to say a thing. If someone was that close to the inner circle and never spoke up, what does that really say? There are only two possibilities. Either they truly had no idea what was happening, which many people find hard to believe, or they knew something and decided to stay silent. And if they stayed silent, then why? Was it fear, loyalty, protecting their image, or maybe protecting someone even more powerful sitting above it all? These are the questions that people are now demanding answers to. When federal agents raided Diddy's homes, reports say they seized thousands of hours of footage, not a few recordings, but thousands. That kind of material doesn't just happen by accident. Commentators like Jaguar Wright and Gene Deal have both claimed that this footage wasn't made only for blackmail. It was a form of insurance, a system that kept people in check without Diddy ever needing to make a direct threat. The idea was simple. Once you're on camera, you're owned forever. Now, the latest word spreading through industry circles is that those tapes might be quietly changing hands, and that's sending pure panic through Hollywood and beyond. Some of the biggest names in music, film, and politics are reportedly terrified about what could be on those recordings and who might have them now. Megyn Kelly made a chilling point about all this. She reminded everyone that Diddy hasn't even been charged for that disturbing video we all saw, showing him assaulting Cassie Ventura in that hotel hallway. If something so clear, so public, isn't being prosecuted, then what else is being protected behind the scenes? What's being hidden from the public eye that's far worse than what's already out there? The real questions that nobody wants to answer are these. Who's in control of those videos right now? What's actually captured on them? And what would happen if even a fraction of those recordings were ever leaked to the public? Because if those tapes truly exist, they could shake every corner of the entertainment world and expose secrets that were never meant to see the light of day. Maybe the most unsettling part of this entire story isn't what's already come out. It's what's still being hidden. When cameras get banned, when stories vanish, and when secrets are quietly traded behind closed doors, you have to wonder, who's really in control? Who's holding the remote that decides what the world gets to see and what stays buried forever? One moment that had viewers stunned came straight out of 50 Cent's Netflix documentary, The Reckoning. There's a scene where Bishop T.D. Jakes' image flashes on screen right as the narration talks about Diddy's controversial parties, and people online instantly noticed. Many fans believe that was no accident at all. They think 50 Cent was sending a coded message, hinting at connections that haven't yet been openly discussed. When Bishop T.D. Jakes was later asked about these rumors, his reaction only added fuel to the fire. Instead of directly denying any involvement, he reportedly said, "Keep it moving." That alone had the internet buzzing. But then he followed it up with something that sent social media into chaos. He said that even if something like that were true, repentance could cover all sins, and then added that he personally didn't even need to repent for this. To a lot of people, that didn't sound like confidence. It sounded like avoidance. It gave the impression that he was dodging the question instead of shutting it down. That choice of words made the situation explode online, with many feeling like it raised more questions than it answered. Jaguar Wright quickly jumped into the conversation, claiming that if Bishop Jakes really was involved in Diddy's inner social circles, there could only be two explanations: money or access. She described these secret events as leverage zones, exclusive spaces where influence wasn't just traded, it was collected. And later, that influence could be used as quiet power. The kind that doesn't need threats or proof, just silence from everyone who was there. Former bodyguard Gene Deal didn't hold back when he started raising serious questions of his own. He asked what so many people were already thinking. Why would a respected religious figure even be seen near gatherings that insiders have described as anything but clean? That question alone had people reevaluating everything. Gene also hinted that he's heard quiet talk about tapes, recordings that could still be out there, waiting to surface. And if those ever see the light of day, he said the conversation won't be about rumors anymore. It'll be about proof. Real, undeniable proof that could shake the entire entertainment industry to its core. Some investigators have even started laying out the connections like a pyramid. And when you see it that way, it's honestly terrifying. At the base, you've got major names like Jay-Z and Beyonce. Powerful, absolutely. But according to some analysts, still answering to higher forces behind the scenes. Moving up, you reach the middle layer. The true gatekeepers, figures like Oprah Winfrey, Clive Davis, and top-level record executives who allegedly control who gets fame, who loses it, and who stays quiet. And at the very top, according to these researchers, sits a single, hidden figure. A name said to connect all the dots. That's where things cross over from just entertainment into something much bigger. Influence that stretches into politics, big tech, media, and even religious institutions. The structure, if true, shows how deep the roots of this control system might really go. Comedian Dave Chappelle actually warned about this years ago, but most people brushed it off back then. He described Hollywood not as a place of opportunity, but as a trap. Not just a bad deal or a tough industry, but an entire system built on manipulation and control. And when fans once asked him why he didn't just take his show to another network after walking away from millions, his answer left people speechless and made them realize he might have seen this dark side long before anyone else dared to talk about it. Dave Chappelle once explained it in a way that hit harder than any headline ever could. He said walking away from the industry wouldn't have changed anything. It would have just been like running from one plantation to another. Different master, same chains. That line stopped everyone in their tracks. It was raw, powerful, and brutally honest. If someone as wealthy, influential, and respected as Chappelle felt trapped inside that system, what does that mean for everyone else still caught in it? What about the artists, executives, and creators who don't have his level of power or freedom? It paints a chilling picture of how deep this control runs. A reminder that in this industry, success doesn't always mean freedom, and survival often comes with a price no one wants to pay. So here's where things start to connect in ways that nobody can ignore anymore. Everything this story has exposed, from Diddy's downfall to the whispers about hidden footage and industry control, now feels like part of a much bigger shift happening in real time. Since late 2025, the investigations surrounding Diddy, Universal Music Group, and several high-profile entertainment executives have expanded, with federal prosecutors reportedly reviewing financial links tied to offshore accounts and corporate partners once believed to be untouchable. Sean Diddy Combs is still facing multiple civil lawsuits tied to sexual assault and trafficking allegations, several of which have been formally filed in New York and California. As of early 2026, investigators continue to uncover new evidence that could tie his businesses, including Bad Boy Entertainment and De Leon Tequila, to potential money laundering operations. None of this has been proven yet, but the paper trail is deep, and it's drawing attention from both the IRS and federal agents who previously handled the Epstein financial networks. Meanwhile, Universal Music Group has been under fire for its business practices, especially after Ethiopia Habte Mariam stepped down from Motown in 2024, and questions began surfacing about how certain contracts were handled during her leadership. Sir Lucian Grange, still CEO, has publicly denied any connection to Diddy's alleged crimes, but the silence from other executives has only made the public more suspicious. And then there's Jay-Z, who's now facing growing scrutiny after journalist and commentator Candace Owens publicly demanded he address his long association with Diddy during a 2025 interview series. While Jay-Z hasn't been accused of any crime, the internet has been relentless in connecting dots between his Roc Nation empire, political donations, and entertainment power moves that mirror the same control pyramid pattern people are finally starting to question. Even Joe Rogan has revisited the topic on the Joe Rogan Experience, bringing on investigative journalists to talk about how celebrity power networks blend with political influence. Rogan's latest take? He warned that what's been happening behind closed doors for decades is starting to leak into the light, and not everyone's ready for it. If that's true, then this isn't just about Diddy anymore. It's about a system that's finally starting to crack, and the truth that's clawing its way out from underneath the spotlight. What's happening right now feels like the aftermath of years of secrets finally starting to surface. The entertainment world has entered a new era, one where silence no longer guarantees protection. Since early 2026, multiple agencies, including the Department of Justice and Homeland Security, have reportedly expanded their investigations into alleged trafficking networks that intersect with the music and entertainment industries. While many details remain sealed, public filings confirm that federal investigators have requested new warrants tied to Diddy's business associates and former employees, signaling that the case is far from over. In December 2025, several major media outlets, including Rolling Stone and The Guardian, published verified reports detailing how federal raids on Diddy's Miami and Los Angeles properties led to the recovery of extensive digital evidence, including encrypted hard drives and security footage. Authorities have not confirmed what's on those files, but the fact that multiple agencies are involved shows just how serious this case has become. At the same time, Diddy's former partners, including Bad Boy Records executives and event coordinators, have begun cooperating with law enforcement. According to public court filings reviewed by NBC News, at least 3 individuals have provided statements describing a pattern of coercion, intimidation, and hush agreements connected to Diddy's events. These documents have reshaped how people view the so-called party culture of early 2000s celebrity life, exposing how power and image often hid darker truths. And the ripple effect isn't stopping there. Universal Music Group, already under scrutiny for its ties to various artists facing lawsuits, is facing new questions about internal accountability. In early 2026, a former legal consultant for the company spoke with Variety, claiming that entertainment empires have spent decades perfecting the art of plausible deniability. That quote set social media on fire, because it confirmed what many people have suspected for years, that some of the biggest corporations in music knew far more than they ever admitted publicly. Meanwhile, survivors' advocates are calling this a turning point. Legal experts say 2026 could become the year that defines how accountability works in entertainment, not just for individuals, but for entire systems that allowed abuse to thrive unchecked. The public wants transparency, and this time, it looks like the walls protecting the elite are finally starting to crack for real. By 2026, the story that started with whispers around Sean "Diddy" Combs has grown into one of the most significant reckonings the entertainment industry has ever faced. What's unfolding now is no longer just about one man's downfall. It's about a system that's finally being forced into the light. Real-world consequences are hitting powerful figures and major corporations, proving that the era of silence and immunity might finally be ending. In January 2026, the New York Times confirmed that federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York have combined parts of the ongoing Diddy investigation with broader inquiries into human trafficking, racketeering, and financial misconduct within entertainment circles. Court records show that federal agents are cross-referencing evidence seized from Diddy's raids with data connected to offshore accounts and communication logs from multiple entertainment executives. This move indicates the probe is expanding well beyond Diddy's inner circle. At the same time, the civil lawsuits against Diddy continue piling up, including multiple filed under New York's Adult Survivors Act before the law expired in late 2023. These cases, reported on by CNN and NBC News, accuse him of sexual assault, coercion, and physical abuse, allegations he has publicly denied. Yet the mounting testimonies from former associates, security staff, and industry insiders have painted an increasingly damning picture of what insiders once called the untouchable empire. Meanwhile, new investigations are reaching into other corners of Hollywood. In February 2026, The Hollywood Reporter revealed that the FBI and Department of Labor have begun auditing event management firms and label-affiliated foundations linked to celebrity charity events from the early 2000s to the 2000s mid-2000s, many of which were sponsored by major record labels, including subsidiaries of Universal Music Group. Officials are now examining whether these high-profile events may have doubled as fronts for laundering or illicit recruitment. And the ripple effect continues to spread. Media watchdogs like ProPublica and The Intercept have launched their own independent investigations into how media companies suppressed coverage of misconduct involving major artists and executives for years. Former producers from major news networks have even come forward, admitting that certain names were off limits when it came to investigative coverage. All of this proves one thing: the foundation of celebrity power is shifting fast. What used to be hidden under fame, wealth, and NDAs is now being dissected in courtrooms, boardrooms, and live news feeds. The facade is cracking, and for the first time in decades, accountability is catching up to influence. If you thought this story was intense, trust me, the next one goes even deeper. We're diving into a whole new investigation that uncovers shocking truths about people you probably never imagined could be involved in something like this. The layers of power, secrets, and manipulation only get darker from here. So click on the next video right now and see how deep the next rabbit hole really goes. But before you do, we want to hear from you. After everything we've uncovered in this video, do you think these massive industries are finally facing real accountability?